All right, today we're going to break down one of the most fundamental design patterns you'll ever use with large language models, zero-shot prompting. It's the simplest, it's the fastest way to get a response, and honestly, understanding this is absolutely key before you build any kind of agentic system.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll nail down the core definition. Then we'll visualize how the information actually flows. After that, we'll look at the logic in practice, what it looks like closer to the code. We'll explore where it shines and where it kind of falls short. And finally, to really put it all in context, we'll compare it to its slightly more complex cousin, few-shot prompting.
Okay, let's dive right in. First things first, what exactly are we talking about when we say zero shot?
The key phrase here, the one you really need to remember, is without any examples. You're giving the model a direct command and absolutely nothing else. You are making a bet, a pretty big one actually. You're betting that all the terabytes of books, articles, and websites the model was trained on have given it enough general knowledge to understand and execute your task cold.
And this analogy is perfect. If you're talking to a senior financial analyst, you don't walk them through 3 sample reports. You just say, hey, analyze the sentiment of this quarterly earnings call. You just assume the expertise is already baked in, and that is exactly the assumption we are making about the model in a zero-shot scenario.
So let's see how this translates into an information flow. And as you'll see, it's about as simple as it gets. There are no loops, no branches, it's just a straight shot from A to B.
And this just illustrates the raw simplicity of the pattern. It is literally a straight line. One single self-contained request goes in, the model chews on it using only its pre-trained knowledge, and a single response comes right back out. That's it. There are no intermediate steps, no chat history to consider, no examples to guide it. It is the most direct conversation you can possibly have with an LLM.
So, that's the theory. But how does this clean, theoretical flow actually translate into the logic you would implement in your code? Let's take a look.
Now, what's really important to see here is the logic this represents. We're sending a single payload to the model. That's it. And that payload has 2 main parts: the instruction, which tells the model what to do, and the text, which is the data it needs to work on. It's a single atomic request. There's no back and forth, no memory of a prior conversation, just one self-contained package sent off to the model.
Okay, this directness and simplicity, well, it's a double-edged sword, right? It leads to some really clear advantages, but also some equally clear disadvantages. It's so important to know when this pattern is the right tool for the job, and of course, when it's not.
The trade-off here is crystal clear. On the one hand, in the pros column, you get speed and cost efficiency. Because the prompt is so short and direct, it's the fastest and cheapest way to get an answer from a model, period. But the flip side, the cons, that's the price you pay. You're sacrificing reliability and control. If you have a complex or really nuanced task, the model might just misunderstand you, and you've got no examples in the prompt to help steer it back on course.
So where does this pattern really shine? Well, it excels at these kinds of straightforward tasks. Things like sentiment analysis. Is this review positive or negative? Basic summarization. Or extracting a simple piece of information, like pulling an address out of a block of text. These are all tasks where the intent is super clear and they just rely on the model's broad general knowledge. If the task is simple and universal, zero-shot is your go-to pattern.
All right, to really lock this concept in, let's put it head-to-head with the next level up in prompting complexity: few-shot prompting.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The fundamental difference all comes down to one thing: the presence of examples. Zero-shot, on the left, is like asking an expert for an answer. But few-shot, on the right, that's more like teaching a student by showing them a few solved problems before you give them a new one. It's that in-prompt teaching that really separates these 2 powerful patterns.
So here's the big takeaway, the crucial point. Zero-shot prompting is your baseline. It should always be your starting point for any new task. Why? Because it's the fastest, cheapest path from A to B. Before you spend a bunch of time and tokens engineering a complex prompt with a ton of examples, always try the direct approach first. You'd be surprised how often it's all you really need.